always said that I wouldn't let a bad hair day keep me from doing a live video, and having to really live up to that right now. So I was thinking, as I was rearranging my desk and noticing microphones, and I was thinking about the one key that I believe that can really help you find your voice. And when I mean find your voice, kind of mean find that in the vine sweet spot. The heat's on, it's cold, so let's see if I can talk loud enough. And I remember it made me, whoa, sorry, my desk is shaking. It made me think of something. Finding your voice a lot of times is lined into the core of who God made you. So finding your voice is in your DNA. Finding your voice has a way of connecting you with your purpose. And one thing that the Lord highlighted is a lot of times the beginning point of finding your voice can be going back into childhood and remember what you liked to do when you were playing. When I was a kid, I loved these things. No doubt, no surprise that I have a couple of them. They're microphones. This one should be connected to you, but it's not for some reason. So when I was little, I absolutely loved microphones, and they didn't have a lot of microphones back in the day. In fact, when I was like 6 or 7, my dad brought home a tape recorder with a microphone, put it under the bed and said, don't touch it. But I would sneak that little microphone out and touch it all the time. I would play. I would pretend like I was Walter Cronkite. I thought I was funny, so I tried to be Carol Burnett. Then I realized the only one who was laughing at my jokes was my mom. I talked into that microphone for hours. In fact, I wish I had a tape a long time ago of my little voice talking into that microphone. So what did you like to do when you were little? So I took that a step further. I grew up Catholic. They didn't let women be priests, and I was okay with that because I got saved and then I just became a preacher, pretend preacher. So if our house that we lived on had steps, I would go up the steps and pretend like I was preaching. I didn't have a microphone, but I was talking. I had 4 brothers. I guess I had to talk someone. They wouldn't listen to me. So I would pretend though. And then I remember living in this one house that we lived in. There were no steps, just 2 steps. And I'd get up on those 2 steps and I'd hand out communion and do my homily and preach, but I remember thinking, I'm just not high enough. Well, we lived in apple country, so you know what I did? I found an apple cart, and I just didn't turn it up this way. I turned it up the long ways, climb up on top of that apple cart, and I would get on top and I'd tell the rocks and the flowers and the birds and anything that passed by that they needed to be saved. They needed Jesus. So I became like a tent revival person on top of an apple cart. And I think it's kind of funny. Someone pointed this out. Sorry about the shaking. Someone pointed this out that on an Apple phone. Do you think God doesn't have a sense of humor? From an apple cart to talking into an Apple phone, which I am right now. Usually I like to talk into an Apple computer too. But I'm trying not to shake the table. I probably should have. So that was all part of the DNA of what God put in me to have a desire to use my voice to speak life over people. I liked microphones so much that I volunteered to do the Sunday morning readings in the Catholic Church because they had a microphone. I just loved talking into a microphone. Anyway. I loved a lot of things, but that was one that I look back now decades later. And by the way, I did have a short stint, 15 and a half years short stint of being a radio announcer, getting paid to talk and to pray online and do the news, weather, and lots of music, lots of Christian music. I was on the FM station here outside of Atlanta for 15 and a half years. Got to raise my kids on the air. I mean, it was radio. They couldn't see me nurse my kids. So what do you like? I say all that to say, a lot of times we're talking about pillars, and I'm working on something just for you, pillars of finding your voice. And this plays in the role in the sense of what God has put in you as a purpose and a design. And you're like, I'm finding your voice. I mean, I'm not interested in speaking. I'm talking about your voice as being who you are. I say find your voice, share your voice, and market your voice. And you say, I don't have any desire to market my voice. I just like to watch videos. I had a client point this out, and she got it. You can be a mom and market your voice. And she said, I figured that out. This client did. She said, I'm a mom, but I can market my voice. I can rise up with my identity and influence and shift the atmosphere of my home. I love that. She got it. So she got the find your voice, share your voice, market your voice, and she's in that beginning stage of finding her voice. What do I mean by that? I mean by being able to say no to the shame game, getting over the drama, the trauma, finding real soul health, rising up in your authority and based on your identity of knowing who you are, saying no, creating boundaries, being able to rise up as a mom in her sphere of influence at home. And I think it'll serve her in other areas of her life. So find your voice, share your voice, market your voice. Let's start to the beginning of a tip on how to find your voice. If you had a rough childhood, that might be hard, and I'm sorry. So finding your voice might be in the realm of, okay, what trauma did I experience? How can I bring this to the glory light and be healed of that trauma? So going to your childhood might mean different for you. For me, I just had this fascination with microphones. And I love to talk into them, whether anyone was listening or not. So I guess whether there's very few live or recorded, it's okay, because God lined this in my DNA, and I want to see you have hope, though. See, there's a twist now. As I've risen in my identity and realized the foundation and how exciting it is to not be a part of the shame game, to be able to rise above the trauma, to be able to really go in that direction. I want to see you get out of that. And then I do. I'm a marketing specialist. I like to help brands grow online with the care strategy. So it's all woven in there. So anyway, just a short tip on a Friday to tell you that I believe in you, you're valuable. Remember to do you and no one else, because that's your identity. And if you feel like you've been dropped into a deep, dark well, I have a word on the Kingdom Mentor podcast. I just released it. Check it out. It's episode 106 to end this. It talks about what do you do, though, when all you see is the darkness in front of you. It's kind of a continuation of what do you do when you got the static and God's telling you to look around. But I would love for you to check that out. I might put some pieces together of keys to find your voice, or share your voice, or just being able to come out of that deep well that circumstances have put you in. It's episode 106, kingdommentorpodcast.com. You can pick which platform: Spotify, Google, Apple, and Stitcher. I think those are the ones. So, kingdommentorpodcast.com. Finally, I just want to tell you that I believe in you. I believe your voice is important. On the other side of your breakthrough, someone is waiting for you. Isn't that exciting? Someone is waiting to hear your voice. And your voice may be in something crafty. It might be in a course you're creating. It might be in a group you're leading. It might be as a mom. Find your voice. Share your voice. And market your voice. All right, I'll talk to you in the next video. And I really do love you.